I think it came at the right time. I think we spoke about it prior to it coming, and it, I mean, the FIFA break itself. Um, and ours was just to focus on trying to work on some tactical issues that we found with regards to our game model and our approach to try and solve particularly the offensive patterns and the schemes that we work on to improve the chance creation percentages, but also to work psychologically on the players, because it's important to remind them of who they are, what they represent, and the club that they are part of. So yeah, it was to try to bring back the confidence, and I think you can see for yourselves the training today with this type of sessions that we've been having, sessions that more or less focus a lot more on group dynamics and improving the morale and the camaraderie within the squad, which is for us was also key, because the season is still very, very long, and despite the minor setback so early in the season, I think with the right spirit, and if we don't lose the confidence, and was one of our major aims, we know that we can compete this season for the league title. Not at the least. I think Orlando Pirates is a club that values certain principles, and I try not to speak about myself a lot when you are in a position of leadership, particularly a position of leadership at Orlando Pirates. The position of leadership at Orlando Pirates is like being in the army. Yours is to serve, and part to serving is to think less about yourself and put the team, put the supporters, put the institution first. You complain after, you ask questions after. Yours is to focus on the responsibilities that are at hand, and try to make sure that we win and we satisfy the supporters, because the expectations are high, and rightfully so. But at the same time, ours is to make sure that we manage the expectations by recreating the right environment that we used to have. And so yeah, it's not about me. I've said this, and I think the members of the media know. I could have been at Bafana, didn't go. Had job offers to go somewhere else to be head coach, didn't go, for Pirates. So if we speak about loyalty and about servantship, then the actions themselves should speak. It's not for me to speak about looking over my shoulder or whatever, but it's just to continue to serve and help this great institution get back to where it belongs.
It is very challenging from the pre-season, because normally it's a big team. You have no time to rest here. You have no time to relax. So for me, coming from where I come from, Matchday United, coming here, I've learned something, which is if you take another step up, it demands the next of you. So which means a coach here, so I had to put another effort from what I had. So basically, now we are gelling together and getting there.
Not the easiest, but not very hard as well, because they come with the right sort of profile. Individually, when you look at them, they all suit the game model of Orlando Pirates. But of course, there's a period of adaptation that needs to take place. The environment is slightly different for all of them. I mean, we've got players that came from Bloemfontein Celtics, players that came from Maritzburg. So the transition is there, and the adaptation to the demands of the profile of the club is huge for them. So we've got to always try to support them. But also from a tactical perspective, they come from teams that played in different game models. Maritzburg play very different to how Orlando Pirates play. Bloemfontein Celtics play very different to how Orlando Pirates play. So there's been that adaptation process, and we've had to be patient with them, but at the same time to try to guide them towards making sure that they don't lose their individual qualities while still trying to maintain their strengths and weaknesses within our game model. So it's been good because they are humble boys, they are honest boys, and they are hardworking, and it's always a pleasure to work with players that have those sort of qualities. Yeah, but they've just come from the group has just come from a very good win against Kaizer Chiefs in the Carling Black Label Cup. And lifting trophies is addictive, you know. It's a feeling that you get because I don't want to get into the biological elements of endorphins and which hormones are released when you achieve certain success, but because of that sort of feeling, you then are addicted and you want more of that. And the same thing happens with technology and the addiction that society faces with smartphones is the same thing that happens to footballers or sportsmen when they win, and that becomes addictive. But we've tried to work on that, not just by talking about it and showing videos on it and looking at international trends, because we work a lot on that aspect, but also on the pitch to try to improve the competitiveness of our training sessions. And at the same time to also make players understand that the product is the result of the process. So the lifting of the trophy is not just the lifting of the trophy. That's the byproduct. That's at the end. The most important thing is the process. And the process is what we are going through at the moment, but you've got to try and take them through those stages, simulate these sort of environments so that they get comfortable in difficult environments and in environments where they know that they've got to produce results. But once you've simulated them and they find comfort in that, it becomes a little bit easier for them to adapt to those situations during game time. Unfortunately, I know them very well, and they know me very well. And we haven't changed much because I think the game model was built by all of us. We all contributed to how Pirates have played over the last couple of seasons, and not much has changed. Just to remind them of who they are, what they are, and the qualities that they possess. And I think that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to also remind them of certain patterns of play. Try to work on new ideas, particularly like I said, within our offensive scheme, because we've stabilized the ship. We've kept 2 clean sheets. Last season was a big problem for us with clean sheets, and already we've kept 2 clean sheets in the last 3 matches. And we know that we could have won all 3 of the games. We know we could have won. We dominated. I mean, against Golden Arrows, 71% ball possession. So the trajectory, as I said last time, is upward, and it's positive. And we believe that if we continue to work hard, we will get where we deserve to be, because where we are at the moment is not a reflection of the quality that we possess in the squad, and we know that. So we don't change much. It's just a consciousness to come to training and be consciously aware of who we are and what we are about.
I think the past season we did well, and at this stage it's one of the phases that we need to go back and be on the drawing board. You know, it's to rectify some of the mistakes that we've been done. you know. So at this point in time, this past 2 weeks, we've been working on that, and all of the guys are prepared now. They know how to put more effort. They know where we did our mistake. So yeah, like the coach said, we dominate some of the games, but we didn't get results. So it's some of the things that we need to work on. So, and we did that. So we'll see this coming next game.
Yeah, I think I had the offers from overseas, you know, but I think the offers were not good for both the team and me, you know. But yeah, I have a contract with Pirates, so I have to focus and play and do my best, you know. I've heard some coaches telling me that I have to score and do what, you know. I've done my part last season, you know. I don't have to prove anyone. I just have to play my football and help the team to win games.
Look, I think it's more spiritual than anything. It was not about trying to evade the criticism and the noise, but coming from a very religious background, one thing that I've always believed is, and I always tell the players, I say, in certain situations, what would Jesus do? Growing up, I used to have a little wristband that had "What would Jesus do?" So in a lot of the situations that I find myself in, I always go back and I say, what would Jesus do if he were to face the same situation? And one of the biggest things that Jesus always did, and I don't want to get religious on you and sound like Steve Compella maybe, but the reality is he would find silence. He would find silence. He would go up you'd leave his disciples at the bottom of the mountain and go up on top of the mountain, and he would find silence. And whenever there was a ruckus and noise and instability and a lot of, and probably one of my favorite verses in the Bible is when God commands us and he says, "Be still and know that I am God." So for me, I try to block out the noise and try to focus on the task at hand, and not necessarily about avoiding criticism. It will always be there. We'll win games and we'll still be criticized. That's the nature of the beast, you know, and you've got to accept it when you work in an environment such as Orlando Pirates. But like I say, it had nothing to. It's just more religious, and it's for my own sanity and for my own peace. The mandate comes with the culture and the expectations of the institution. They are unwritten, but the reality is, like we say, the expectations when we started the season were high. The expectations were to maintain the style of play that we've had over the last couple of years, or the last 2 seasons, but at the same time try to transform that also into winning matches, more matches than we won last season, and that's what we focus on, trying to improve our home record, win more games than we drew at home, win more away games than we won last season, and try to do better, which means also try to make sure that we lift silverware, which is important, and we know that, and we don't hide from that. It's a responsibility that you carry the moment you don the black and white jersey. And it's as a kid coming from Orlando, having been in the change room at Orlando Stadium as a kid, before even it was renovated for the Commonwealth Games, I think I know the history and I know what the expectations are in the township for this club by the supporters. And the players know that too. So, and like Nyoso just said, ours is just to focus on that and make sure that we do the best that we can for this institution. Yeah, I've sent my congratulatory message. He's received it, and yeah, we celebrate with him, and we're proud of his achievement, and I think I speak for the entire institution. We were raised as people that understand that the cake is big enough for everybody, and celebrate other people's successes and achievements, because there's enough for everybody, you know. So we do not have any form of resentment or ill feelings or hard feelings. When people do well, we are the first as an institution to congratulate them, especially because once you are a Pirates person, you will always remain a Pirates person. And when he does something well, we congratulate, and even if he goes through hardships, we will also still support, you know. So that's the type of people we are, and that's we try to be good human beings and try to have good hearts, and yeah, we have done that. About the chairman, I have my discussions with the chairman. I keep them very low key and very close to my heart, because they are not football discussions per se. So I don't divulge too much about it, and I'd like you to respect that, because I think they go beyond football, you know, and some of the things is it's a lot better to keep between myself and the chairman, and between myself and the management also, because there have been discussions, but it's for us as the people involved in those discussions. Not the recent one, no. But I mean, it was out there in the media. It was out there in the media last season already, with Stuart, and with Safa, with the under-23s, with possibly other head coaching positions. But like I say, I am Orlando Pirates until Orlando Pirates says I am no longer Orlando Pirates. I am here. And I don't say that because I say it. I say it because I mean it. You know, I grew up part of this club. I feel this club. I feel the pain. I feel the ecstasy, the joy, the celebrations, and I said to the players even the last time, I said, I'm prepared to be thrown into the fire if it means that's what's best for this club. Then so be it. You know. So yeah, it's not about the offers. It's about exactly what that one I've shared before. What the chairman has said, that the moment finds the man, and when the moment came, it found me, and I didn't find the moment, you know. And when that happens, then you just go on with the business and try to do the best that you can. Sacrifice yourself, but try to do the best that you can to support these players, because we've got a very talented group of players. We've got a very hungry group of players. We've got a very ambitious group of players, but at the same time, we've also got a very strong technical team. Our technical team is a technical team that we work very well together. We've got experienced minds. Frank comes from France and has worked with PSG at the highest level. Fadlu, you know, his reputation in South Africa speaks for itself. We've got a new goalkeeper coach who's been in Qatar and almost all around the world, as young as he is, but huge pedigree and a lot of quality and expertise within the bench. And for us is just to make sure that we put our minds together in terms of trying to come out of this situation, and we're very confident that we will. We'll definitely rise above it. And I think you've seen through the trainings, I think you've seen through the games, you've seen improvements, and that's what we focus on. And like I've said before, it's about perspective. That's what we want to focus on. It's difficult because it's a huge responsibility, but it goes beyond football, and I've spoken about this so many times. Football is a microscopic reflection of society. And if you look at society as a whole, how many young leaders are put into top leadership positions? We can go into the business space, we can go into the political space, we can go into any form of leadership roles. Just a couple of days ago, Africa as a continent paid its last respects to former Zimbabwean President Mr. Mugabe at 95. But 5 years ago, he was still the president of Zimbabwe. And that is reality. The reality is that we are not a nation that is or has accepted that there is leadership potential in its youth. And unfortunately, because of that, and the late Nelson Mandela used to say that a nation that doesn't take care of its youth is doomed. But the youth also have a responsibility that when given roles of leadership, they do not disappoint and fumble. And unfortunately, like you've just said, you can call it being a guinea pig, you can call it being a trailblazer, because there's two ways to look at it. You can be the sacrificial lamb, or you can be the one that goes and says, there's a forest here, but there's no trail. So I walk in and I create a trail so that others may follow. It's a norm in most European, top European football countries. Mourinho, at what age did he get his first job as head coach of Benfica? How was his first job? No, not smooth sailing. Mourinho struggled a little bit. Pep Guardiola started at Barca, coming from Barca B. How young was Pep Guardiola? And if you read his book, and there's an abstract that comes out when he was sitting in his office analyzing the first 3 games, and I think he had lost 2 and drawn 1 in his first stint at Barca. And Iniesta walked into his office and said, "Mister, don't change anything. Continue to believe in the way you work, and things will come right." And Mourinho and Pep today sit as having won more trophies than any other coach, but they were given opportunities at young ages. The excuse society makes is young people are not experienced enough. But where do young people gain the experience if they're not given the opportunities? I'm more experienced now than I was a month ago. I believe that I'm stronger, I'm wiser, and I'll still be stronger and wiser with more experience, with more games, with more leadership, and it doesn't end here. But platforms need to be created, and I don't call Julian Nagelsmann, for an example, Jurgen Klopp at Mainz, for an example. These are coaches, Roger Schmidt, who was at Leverkusen. These are coaches that we call technocrats. They don't belong to the norm. They don't belong to the norm. Jose Mourinho doesn't belong to the norm. He's an abnormal case study because he didn't play professional football, started coaching at a young age. So unfortunately, when you have that, it's very difficult because you also don't have a reputation to fall back on. There's no name prior to you having served or in whatever capacity. Sometimes when you've played professional football, it's a little bit easier because when you coach and things don't go as well as you probably would like them to, you've got your name still and your reputation as a footballer to fall back on. And when you're an alien, and I consider myself an alien because I don't belong to the norm, it's abnormal that you find a coach like myself. It's abnormal in South Africa. It's abnormal to find Mourinho and Arsene Wenger didn't get to the highest level, but gets opportunities to coach. But when you have that, again, like I say to you, I always refer to religious spaces when I want to find comfort. I say to myself, to whom much is given, much is expected. And when you're an alien, you must know that there's a lot that's been given to you because it's not normal for you to get those blessings and those privileges. But the reality is it comes with huge responsibility and lots of expectations. And unfortunately, you carry the responsibility of carrying so many other thousands of young coaches, up-and-coming young coaches or technocrats behind you that are saying, create this trail so that we can also maneuver our way through this forest. And that's what we try to do.